Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to AFour Technologies webinar. Today, we'll be looking into the DevOps infrastructure provisioning. So, you might have already gone through that, like who can attend this webinar and who can be the part of this community, and also what expectation we can have from this webinars. So these all details are available on our LinkedIn account. Yeah, so today's part is the DevOps infrastructure provisioning, and we'll be having an introduction round for the Ansible and Terraform, which are like Ansible is the configuration management tool, and the Terraform in the orchestration tool. All right, so we will start with the Ansible first. So the agenda for Ansible is like what is Ansible, why we should use Ansible. We'll look into some use cases of Ansible, and then we will dip into the architecture of Ansible, and we will summarize with the configuration management part of the Ansible. So what is Ansible? Ansible is an open source configuration management tool, just like we have others in the market with Chef, Puppet, Salt. But the beauty of the Ansible is it works on the SSH protocol, where you just need SSH connectivity with your host, and that will just let you control your slaves. So if suppose you have several hosts in your environment which you want to control from one single machine, so the basic requirement is just to have SSH connectivity. Maybe you can configure the passwordless authentication, and you should have the Python installed on it. So even Ansible can configure it. So what makes different Ansible from other tools? The first is like it's open source, and it works on the SSH protocol. It got founded in 2013, was developed by Michael Dehan, and it brought back into the limelight by Red Hat in 2015. So it's been driven by the community, and many releases came out. So the latest one is running is 2.5.5. Additional add-on to the Ansible is Ansible Tower. So we must talk a few minutes about the Ansible Tower, because it's a web-based interface. Like it's by Red Hat, and it's a enterprise product. So what makes it different from Ansible, the Ansible Tower? Like we need to check the main differences. The first is the role-based access. So if you have, let's say you have developers, sysadmin people, so you can just isolate the rights and with those persons, and you can easily integrate it with your existing Active Directory or the LDAP setup. It also can help you in scheduling jobs and doing the new jobs. It will have a beautiful and simplified view of automation jobs, like a kind of a portal mode you will see. So this will definitely lowers the barriers of using Ansible. I mean, even a less experienced guy can make use of it. The next thing you can have is like a REST API. So it's kind of a fully documented REST API you will get, so that you can integrate it with your existing toolkit and environment. You will have a Tower dashboard, which is a kind of a summary of your entire environment. So your SysOps guys can just sip a coffee, and it will be easier for them to manage the infrastructure. It has the cloud integration with the various vendors like Azure, AWS, Google. In short, it's a remarkably useful add-on to the Ansible. You can think of it. So Ansible is the universal language. What it means is like you can make anyone, whether you are a business developer or maybe a testing guy doing some kind of security testing, or whether you are part of the sys operations team. In today's digital transformation on the path of the automation, the Ansible will be useful at all the levels. So why Ansible? The very first thing is like no agent. You no need to install the agents on your remote systems. That makes it stand out of the crowd. And the core idea of Ansible is idempotent. Like the whole architecture is structured around this concept of idempotency. So what it is like. The only thing, if they are made, is like the repeatable without side effects. So I'm to say the other, just like it's a kind of a declarative and not the procedural. What it means is like you have to just mention whatever things in your description, and Ansible will make sure that it will fulfill that description. It is unlike the other tools in the market, which are the procedural, and you have to guide those tools, like you have to do these, do that, and do this, something like that. So what I mean here, suppose you are trying to copy a file into a folder, and you are trying to do the same task again. The system will create another copy by adding some kind of a numeric number, let's say 1. But if you ask to Ansible to do this job, it will not make any changes if the file is already present. So that's the idea of idempotent. Yes, and it's a very tiny learning curve. Anyone can quickly learn the Ansible and get started with it with the help of Ansible Tower. Any company can enroll the Ansible in their infrastructure with the support by Red Hat. Okay, so these are the list of use cases. You can make use of Ansible in provisioning, maybe provisioning your servers, your host. Then you can make it part of your configuration management, also the app deployment, so that it will be very easy for developers to deploy their apps with the plugins. It will also help you in continuous delivery, so that you will shorten your life cycle of your software development. Also, it will help you in security and compliance to just make sure that the things are working smoothly and secured. Okay, so here we will look into the architecture of Ansible. So the main part is the controller machine, which is carrying the Ansible's automation engine. So if you talk about it, so if we talk about it, we have modules, which are nothing but the Ansible is connecting to remote host, and pushing some modules, which we call we can call them like the scripts. Then we have plugins, just like how modules are outside, then the plugins are actually works inside the Ansible. Like for control, they work specially. For example, transforming data, logging out the output, maybe connecting to the inventory. So Ansible ships a number of handy plugins and all written into the Python. Then there is a part of the network, like if suppose you want to do some kind of a network automation process, like automating the configuration management, testing your devices, routers, switches, deployment, and operations of your physical or virtual devices within a network. So these things you can do with the Ansible. And yes, as it's integrated with the various cloud providers. So whether you are interested in the public or private cloud or in hybrid, you can make use of Ansible. The users can simply write any Ansible playbook. We will see it in the next slides. So it's kind of a recipe book, you can say, for your task. So that you can, the playbook, you can push it to the remote host and your job will get done. All right, so here is the part of the inventory. Inventory is nothing but a kind of the host machine, the remote host machines library you can store into this file, and the default location is /etc/ansible/host. So you can put into your IP address, or maybe you can mention the range of it, or you can write down the names of it, and it will be easiest way to manage your remote host. We will see one example of this host file, how it looks like, so that you will get a better idea about it. So this is one example of inventory file. This is what you will enter right into your host file. Though if you have just a couple of machines, then you can write just one in one line, like we have written main.example.com. If you have a web servers or DB servers, then you can just group them under one group name, like we have web servers like web 1, web 2. If you have, let's say, database servers for different for the for development and for production, then you can isolate them by giving a different group name. And if you want to perform some task on all of the DB servers, then you can actually make group of the both dev and prod in one stanza, and you can perform the task on your all DB servers. Playbook. So it's kind of a recipe book, you can say, written in simple YAML files based on Python. So here's the beauty that you no need to be expert in Python. It's just YAML files is quite easy to understand and human readable. So these YAML files are nothing but a description of your task which you want to perform. This is the way you talk with Ansible. So what it contains is like playbook contains the plays. So plays contains the task which you want to perform, and tasks called the modules. Like we've seen before, they are nothing but the scripts which you want to play. So this is one example of Ansible playbook, how it looks like. So it starts with the three dotted dash, and then the host name you can mention. So web servers is nothing but we can refer it with this host file. Here you can see the web server. So it will perform the task on both the web servers. You don't need to mention web 1, web 2 kind of thing. So you can you can enter the username, which will be having the authentication rights to perform the task. And here we are trying to do couple of tasks here, like we are making sure the Apache which we have in the environment, it's running with the latest version. And you will also make sure that the service is running. So see how it is easy for a system administrator guy, to manage the infrastructure. You just need to run this playbook. It will make no harm if it's all running well. If it's something is messy and not running, it will make sure that the status it is running in your environment. Okay, modules. This is a big help, you can say, because at the back end it's all scripts which you were performing before, like by using shell scripts or Perl or Python. So there are thousands of modules available on the Ansible portal, which you can make use of, and every day they are getting increased. So what modules are? They are nothing but the task which you want to perform on the remote host. So I can take you on that portal so that you will get an idea about the modules, like what they are. Okay, we have a module index. as a very beautiful and very simplified documentation available for Ansible from the portal itself. So you can see that there are several modules available. If you are managing some clusters, ESOPs, like this is the module for you. If you are into some maybe into monitoring, then you have monitoring module. For network, we have different modules. So even in the cloud infrastructure you are managing, then you have cloud modules. So you can make use of these modules. Okay, here is one example how you can make use of module so that you will get an idea how actually practically it gets used in the day-to-day scenario. So suppose you want to run some kind of a service on your maybe local host or maybe remote machine, then this is the command which can call that module. For example, if it's the command is Ansible, it is a standard syntax of the ad hoc command, and then you can mention the host name or maybe the IP address, then -n for module. So we are calling the service module from that index, and this is the command which we are running. Is like the options for module, like it's the HTTP service, and we are mentioning that okay, I want this to be started. So that is the idea important we talked about, that it will just make sure that it started. The next command is to try the ping command, like you want to check the connectivity between the machines. So this is useful for that. So these are various categories of modules which you can make use of. So it is the cloud. If you are into the cloud infrastructure management, then make a use of it. I would like to mention. I would like to talk about Docker here because it's really hot in the market, and Ansible is doing really pretty job in it. For example, if you are managing the lifecycle of Docker container, like starting the container or recreating or creating, maybe for example, if you want to create a Redis container, then Ansible can do that job. Any system operations guy can do the syslogging into the container by using the Ansible. If you are a DBA, then you can the Ansible can create the DB container for you, and it can also make sure that it will be connected to the network. If you're a network guy, then it's a very useful tool for you to manage the network of containers, maybe removing or adding the containers. So like that, it can manage the database also, like updating your parameters or adding, removing DB, tables, schema, users. So whatnot activities it can all perform by using the Ansible. Coming down, you have into the monitoring for Nagios, it's useful. Notification, sending mails. Like if suppose you are performing some activities, and once it is done, you can intimate your all teammates by sending mail from the playbook. So like that way it will be very useful. If suppose there are some tasks which we cannot automate, so after performing some automated tasks, we can send emails to the responsible team to get started with the task which you cannot automate. Yes, it's useful for the Windows administration guys also to manage the MSI, the regedit, and then the robocopy, which is like for files management. Okay, so here are the roles, just like how Avengers all playing different roles. So here you can isolate your task into the small roles so that it will be really easy to configure your host. So they can be performed on the bunch of groups or the servers. So for example, you want to set up a MySQL, or you want to configure some IP tables, so you can write them into the, let's say role 1, role 2, and you can have them in one file, and you can just solve that playbook and get it done. Here I would like to mention there is something called Ansible Galaxy, which actually contains a lot many roles which you can directly call in your Ansible ad hoc playbook. I would like to take you on the portal so that you will be familiar with the Ansible Galaxy. Okay, so this is all community driven. You can see these are available for the system, for development, for networking, for DBA guys, for cloud administrators. So you name it, they have it. And if you are very good in writing some modules, what you can do is like you can just contribute to this community so that it will be available for other people. So companies are using Ansible. There are several companies today, like Twitter, Cisco, GoPro, EA Sports, like Atlassian, and yes, in AFour also we are making use of it in various projects. Okay, so to summarize it, the configuration management tool Ansible, the three major points. The first is like it's a simplest solution for configuring your nodes. So whether any IT person can write simple YAML files without having any knowledge of Python. It's very simple data description you need to mention, and it will be a great infrastructure as a core tool available. What it requires is simply just SSH authentication to get into your remote host, and that's it. You can manage the remote host easily. So moving forward to the Terraform, most of the people get confused with whether the Ansible, you can replace the Ansible with Terraform, or is it this similar kind of tool or something. The people get confused whether the configuration management part can be done by Ansible or the Terraform as well. No. So I would like to talk about it. So the Terraform is nothing but the Infra-Orchestration tool. Like if you can see the person in the middle who is trying to manage the musicians, he is nothing but the Terraform guy, and the musicians who are taking care of their own instruments, which is just like a server. It is nothing but the part of the configuration management, and those musicians are nothing but the Ansible. I hope you get an idea about it, like who is Terraform, what it is, and who is Ansible, and what's Ansible role. So today's automation era, and what we think requires, like we are trying to automate all the things with great speed, but at the same time we need version controlling also. So if suppose something goes wrong, you can get back to the earlier version. You will also need the continuous integration and deployment. That's the CI/CD part. So in that also you require that all code should be written in all infrastructure code is written well and documented, so that even if the infrastructure goes in the wrong state, you can bring it back by using the same code files of infrastructure. So Terraform, it's an open source, publicly licensed by Mozilla, it's 2.0, created by the HashiCorp. The same, the organizations who created the Vagrant, Consul, the Pactor Vault. Some of you might have used Vagrant in the past, or maybe now. So it's all started in 2014 and written in Go language. It's very hot in the market. Yes, it's pluggable, and you can plug into the several environment. Like if it's a cloud infrastructure, you can plug into your AWS, Azure, Google, or maybe plug in with your DB infrastructure. So this is the repo where you can get the source code of Terraform, and that's the logo of Terraform. Okay, what is Terraform? it is a tool to build, change, and version control your infrastructure. So building infrastructure. So many companies are still struggling with basic IT operations. So they spend so much time putting out fires and manually building the configuring, maintaining the infrastructure, resulting into the considerable loss of capital that could help them, transformation of their company. I'm not saying that they should stop investing in IT operations, far from that, but suggesting better planning could go a long way. You should consider spending more time developing your product so that it will be really useful for your business than caring about the infrastructure and servers where you can minimize the cost of the management. So the Terraform will help you to make a plan moving forward with a disposable infrastructure in a destructive and I would say the fast-paced world. Change infrastructure. So it is like your ability to quickly build, dispose your cloud infrastructure solutions will define like how agile your business will be tomorrow. So in change infrastructure, we have apply incremental changes and then previewing the changes scale easily so that even before getting it applied, you will have a view of the infrastructure, how it will be. And then you can destroy it whenever needed so that you can save on your resources cost. Version controlling. There is something called Statefile, which file actually the Terraform used to store all resources which it created by using the descriptive file. So it uses actually the SQL language. We'll see in the next slide like what it is. So there are Terraform concepts, variables. It's like Terraform takes the variables as input, like type variables, and it's written in like SQL. You can read in JSON as well. So this SQL is like a HashiCorp configuration language. It's a very human-friendly language which both can understand like the system and human, and it is used especially in DevOps tools, and yeah, it's used in Terraform as well. Output, Terraform output command is to extract the value of an output variable from the Statefile which we discussed in earlier slide. So if suppose you want to get some specific text of IP address or any configuration details of any of your resources which got configured, you can make use of this command to get the value, and it can be in the JSON language, which is a human readable JSON language. Providers. So they are nothing but the resource provider we have like the Terraform supports like multiple providers, AWS, Azure, Google. So we need to specify the provider details for the infra we want to launch, and also we need to add the token for authentication. What I mean here is like if you suppose you are configuring something into the AWS infrastructure, then you need the AWS provisioning access key, the secret key. If you are into the digital oceans kind of infrastructure, then you would need a digital oceans token so that it will get your Terraform will get authenticated. The next is the resource. We can talk about the resource also. So they are nothing but the reference to the individual service. If suppose you want to start some AWS instance, then you have AWS_instance. There are several resources are available for IAM user. There is one, and the same go for the DigitalOcean Droplet also, which you can get rolled in your Terraform file, configuration file. Then there are modules. They are like group of resources which takes the parameters and return the output. how it's helpful for the developer, like if suppose a DevOps guy is not available and the developer wants to, create some infrastructure, then he can simply just, call the source module file. If suppose it's a EC2 instance creation, then it can in 3 lines of code, it can just simply call that module which is already written by DevOps guy, and his job will get done. He will not get stuck, and there we will save the production time. Terraform plan. There are a couple of commands which are very important in Terraform. So this is one of it. Terraform plan will help you to create a plan of changes which are required. So if you run this command, it won't make any changes to the infrastructure. Terraform apply. Here all action happens. So it will make sure that all the changes which you want, it will be applied. So it is highly recommended that you must do Terraform plan in order to see the changes which will be getting applied after using this Terraform apply command. That's the beauty of Terraform. We can have a try run. So this is a Statefile. We already talked about it. What I would like to add on here is the locking step. So the Statefile locking is managed especially by the backend team. So it's for stating the state and the locking. So you can, the backend team can maybe provide the API for state locking. The main use of this locking add-on is like you can prevent others from acquiring the lock and potentially corrupting your state file, because that's a core file of your infrastructure. Maybe you can call it as a blueprint of your infrastructure. And Terraform destroy is the last command, and it will just peacefully destroy all the resources which got created. So what important point is here is like you still will be having the protected the configuration state in the configuration file. So how it will be useful, even if in the night something goes wrong and your entire infrastructure got destroyed accidentally, the next day morning or maybe the same night you can just run these commands, these 3 commands, the Terraform init, Terraform plan, and apply. Yes, your infrastructure by morning will be up and running. All right, so that's the end of our discussion, and as we give some assignments so that we will be still connected with each other. So these are several assignments. You can go through it, perform, do some Google research, or maybe documentation is a great idea to make use of. So the first assignment is like just writing a simple playbook you can write about installing the Nginx. The next one, if you are using the Windows environment, then you can just try creating a remote Windows user by some password. The third one is the 15th is connected with the continuous delivery. Like if suppose you want to perform these 4 tasks and how we can write the roles, maybe you can make use of it. The next one, you can create a Jenkins job. We have already shared the Jenkins webinar with you so that you might be aware about it. So it is linked to that. Then you can create a GitHub, and you can just commit your Ansible roles which you have created in an array question, and make sure that just trigger that job so that the Tomcat URL will be working, so you can verify and test it. You will learn a lot of integration stuff of Jenkins with Ansible, which we actually use in day-to-day life. And the last assignment is to have already created a Git repo with my colleagues, like in earlier webinar, like you have created manually. So here you can make use of Terraform and see the beauty of how you can orchestrate it without doing the manual steps. So it's very easy. So just create the Git repo by using some GitHub repo module. So that's it, and you can share all your questions, your these playbooks, answers to the learning@afourtech.com, and we'll make sure that we will reply to it. And these are the references, so like Ansible documentation, Terraform documentation. And if you have any queries, just send us across, and the team will take care of it. Thank you so much for listening patiently. Have a good day.